struggled to whether or not to even tell him about his diagnosis
Mm,
early on,
mhm.
um, because I didn't want him to use that as an excuse as to why he couldn't do something,
Yes, 100%.
and why he wasn't willing to try.
Yeah.
And it was probably only about 4 years ago
Mhm.
that maybe 3 years ago that he actually found out his diagnosis. And so that makes him like 12. Yeah, he's right about 12.
Mhm.
And but I talked, I had to talk to him about it. I'm like, I didn't know if I should tell you because I don't ever want to hear I can't do it, mom, because of this. I'm
Yes.
not going to try because of that, and he was thankful that I told him because it helped him to not feel like there's something wrong with him, right?
Yeah.
When there's something going and they're like, why I'm trying and nothing's working,
Mhm.
they start to get even more frustrated. And so that's about the time started to have him advocate for himself too. It's like, all right, this is
Mhm.
what we're dealing with. This is why you struggle in these areas. I let him read the whole assessment. Um, and we talked about it. And I was like, okay, but you have to understand when you're at school, you have to speak up.
Yeah.
Like you have a 504 or you have, you need to speak up because I can't be there to do that for you. I can, yell at the doctors. I can get into it with whoever on the phone,
Yeah.
but I can't go sit in the classroom with you.
Yeah.
And it's been a process. We had some years where he struggled with school a lot,
Mhm.
but it also had a lot to do with the teachers as well. And it's really
Yes.
making sure that you're having those one-on-ones with the teachers and the counselors at the school and just being like, hey, like this is what he needs. This is what, and really making him involved in that and
Yeah.
saying, hey, what's going to work for you? And then holding him to it and letting him know though, like, hey, that might change. It might need to change, but be okay with that. And um, he's done really well this year. I was super proud of him because he got signed up for like the Spanish one and he was like, mom, this is too easy. I was like, okay, and one day he had to stay after school, but he didn't like tell me why. And the next day his teacher calls me. She's like, so he wanted to, be in a harder, more challenging class. And so he did an assessment and he came to me. But I was like, oh, like he
Mhm.
came to you without talking to me.
Yeah.
I was like, yay, yay, but why didn't you tell me? My feelings are hurt. But no, it was one of those moments I was just super proud of him because I was like, okay, you're
Yeah.
understanding advocacy, you're understanding that you need to speak up.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because I think a lot of parents who have kids with autism worry about that, especially when it comes to school.
Yeah.
Will they be able to advocate for themselves? So, uh,
Yeah, it's having a lot of just, I mean, it wasn't something that happened overnight,
yeah, for sure.
but it's really every time you have a situation where you can teach them that, hey, all you needed to do or all you need to do is say this or do that.
Yeah,
And really kind of walking them through it. But
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's a victory right there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always celebrate the little victories.
that's right.
I just, he started 2 years ago, started taking the public transportation to school. And that was like a 2 week process where I was getting phone calls because he was lost somewhere in the middle of Glendale. I had to turn around on my way to work because he was having an anxiety attack and didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
Um, but I didn't have, I couldn't get mad about him.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, it's frustrating to have to leave work or, be late to work and get in trouble at work. But I'm like, hey, I have a child that I'm working with, and that's more important to me.
understand.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, once he started doing it by himself, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And there's going to be so many more victories, just one day at a time.
Oh, for sure. And just again, it's giving yourself grace, being patient with them, and just knowing and understanding that it's going to take time in certain areas of their life. Everybody's a little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah. Because, we have in our head a certain image, the way we want things to play out.
Mhm.
and then when it doesn't look the way we want it to, that's when,
Yeah.
you got to have the faith and the patience and, and to know that things can work out. So,
Yeah, I mean, there was times he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to try. I'm like, nope, we got this. Let's do it again. Let's try again. Do you want me to ride the bus with you? Like, how are we gonna do this? What do you need? So it does take a lot of coaching. It does take a lot of, there's times I feel like my youngest daughter's, she's literally been like hopes that something's wrong with her so she can a little more attention. I'm like, no, be okay with being okay.
Yeah, it's that's interesting because sometimes I struggle with trying to balance everybody getting the attention that they need.
Yeah.
You know, we have a 4-year-old, 9-year-old, 5-year-old, and it can be overwhelming on top of work and
Mhm.
so I get it.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
yeah, it's just really listening. Again, it's a full-time job as a parent, but it's like two full-time jobs when you're dealing with a child on the spectrum for sure.
yes, for sure. What advice do you have for parents who feel overwhelmed by the demands of advocating for their child?
Don't give up. I mean, there's times like I said, those times I've gone to the doctor and they're like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "You told me to come back. Like I thought we were going to take care of something today. We're going to move forward." Um, you know, there's a lot of times the insurance companies or the doctors just don't. You'll get parent. I always worried about them looking at me like I wanted something wrong to be wrong with my child. That
Mm,
was always something in the back of my mind. Am I acting like I want something wrong with my child? I don't want them trying to like lock me up thinking that,
right, yeah, for sure.
So there was a lot of that. So of really kind of weighing uh, in the back of my mind, and it's hard because you want to fight for them and you need to fight for them because they can't.
Yes.
Um, but you just have to just be okay with, the doctors giving you a hard time or looking at you funny. Or I've had psychologists be like, oh, because the breakup with his dad and some things that happened, oh, he doesn't have a neurological issue. He has trauma.
Mm,
I'm like, so he got diagnosed in third grade, but then it went away and now it's just from trauma. Like,
yeah, yeah.
no, no, I know my child. I know my child better than you. I don't care if you have the degree.
Mm,
This is not trauma related.
yeah, I know that's right. Yeah, because we went through a lot. I mean, like you say, with the insurance, and we was able to get everything lined up, but that process, and to be honest, like I struggle with accepting, like especially like with my 5-year-old,
Yeah.
that he had autism. I struggled with that for a while. Um, so in the midst of it, it was just like my wife was just insurance. She's just
Yeah.
going to just staying at it because she works with kids with autism. So she automatically knew in the infancy stages, like we need to go get him, evaluated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I struggle with that. But now it's like I'm on board now. Like I've accepted it and
We look at it like a superpower. Like,
yeah,
it's made life fun. It's made life interesting. Yeah, it wasn't always easy,
yeah.
but we'll be in the car together and he'll start doing something and I'll join in because I've got my own neurospiciness going. And he'll just look at me and be like, Mom, I think you're autistic too. So I've never let it be an excuse to why he couldn't try. I never made it seem like a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just really focused on his strengths. What are the things that he is really strong in? Like at 7 years old, he wanted to learn German. I was like, okay, we're learning German.
Yeah.
Let's
Wow.
do this. Um,
Yeah.
and it didn't. It lasted a couple years, but
Yeah. I mean, you
but hey,
tried. Yeah.
these are the things that this is how he's expressing himself. And so, hey, let's work within those those confines of his understanding.
Yeah.
Um, because again, children in general, everybody, all humans express themselves so differently, but children, as they're learning, if they're constantly told to be something that they're inherently not,
Yeah,
they're never gonna be comfortable in who they are as an individual.
that's right.
And
I
so,
agree.
yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, so when they're add the neural spicy onto it, it's focusing on their strengths and really and giving them that and feeding those.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
my son, he's very big into like geography and the states and cities. I mean, he knows it all. I mean, he asked me the other day when were we moving to Brazil. I don't think we're moving to Brazil.
Like maybe not. Let's go visit.
Yeah, right. If you have any questions for today's guest, feel free to comment and we can get those questions answered for you. I wanted to ask you real quick about, do you feel that it takes men longer to accept the diagnosis opposed to the women or to moms?
Um, in my experience, I